Warm welcome to you, Philip. I'm going to hand over to you now on why change is needed.
Okay, good afternoon and thank you, Adrian. My name is Philip Pirie. This was my son, Tom. Tom had a very happy childhood. My mother used to say, there are so many people who love Tom, and she was right. Tom did very well at school. He had plenty of friends. Academically, he had a successful academic career at school and university. He loved sport, especially football, and he spoke 3 languages fluently. Tom had a social conscience, and he decided to become a teacher because he wanted to do some good in the world. We knew that Tom had mental health problems, but we had no idea how serious they were. In July 2020, Tom took his own life the day after he'd been assessed as low risk of suicide. At first, I thought Tom was one of the unlucky ones, the exception to the rule. But I was utterly shocked to discover that Tom was not the exception. He was the rule. Can we have the next slide, please? Of the 17 people who take their own lives every day in this country, 5 of them are in contact with mental health services, and 4 of those 5, that is 80%, are assessed as low or no risk at their last contact. Tom's suicide risk assessment consisted of 3 simple questions. Question 1, do you have suicidal thoughts? Tom answered yes. Question 2, do you have any intentions to take your own life? Tom answered no. Question 3, do you have any plans to take your own life? Tom answered no. On the basis of Tom's answers to these 3 crude questions, Tom was consistently assessed as low risk of suicide. I know this from the witness statements to the inquest. Knowing Tom, it would have been a big deal for him to admit to having suicidal thoughts at all. And I think that's something he probably had in common with many men. He probably then felt dismissed when the counsellor didn't explore them. So the checklist acted as a barrier rather than as an enabler of necessary further exploration of Tom's suicidal thoughts. Now, here's the first thing. There is no evidence supporting the validity of this kind of checklist. And here's the second thing. Tom's counsellors were taught to use invalid risk assessment tools. Could you remove this slide, please? I decided there wasn't much point in investigating how and why such bad practice had become embedded in the system of suicide risk assessment. So I'm spending my time trying to do something to change the system. If you're interested, please look at my Twitter feed at Philip Pirie. I can understand that it must be a terrifying thing to be a mental health practitioner and have a patient face-to-face with you, knowing that anything you say or do may literally be a matter of life and death. I couldn't do it. So the need for an anchor to help the practitioner feel secure is very great indeed. But an anchor needs a safe and stable seabed. Thankfully, NICE, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, came out in September last year with its new guidance, making it very clear that risk stratification, for example, into low, medium, and high, is wrong. And it also repeated its 2011 guidance that suicide should not be used, suicide risk assessment tools should not be used to predict suicide. The chief coroner has also alerted all coroners in the country to be alert for the misuse of suicide risk assessment tools and risk stratification and prediction. I've heard it said that we should prevent suicide to avoid the grief and pain of bereaved families and friends. Tom kept a journal up till the day he died. And it was heartbreaking to read about the demons that finally got the better of him. Yes, we should care for the bereaved, but even more, should we care for those who, like Tom, go through unendurable pain and end their suffering in the only way they know how and are no longer with us. Thank you.